And we are live. Greetings and salutation, test takers. Brian, I think it's so fun. Sometimes I think I'm going to give up the tutoring because, I have plenty of money, but I meet some young men and women who are just get me fired up about the future. Anyways, I had two guys I was doing the day, and they said two separate firms. They said that at their firms now, everybody is going greetings and salutations.
Right.
Oh, that's kind of fun. Anyways. I'm the Series 7 guru coming to you from my off-grid studio, geeking our kicks on historic Route 66. We have a very special, always very special guest, Brian Lee, managing member, Test Geek Exam Prep LLC. Tell us what exam you're taking, where you're joining us from. We'll take some care of some housekeeping once we get that housekeeping done. If you have any content questions, just tell us what exam you're taking. It's not necessary, but it's helpful. SIE, for example, with capital Q, or S7 or S6, whatever, followed by your question. And then that way we know what depth to answer the question at. The depth of the answer would depend on the exam you're taking. If you're looking for a free supplement to your paid study materials, there is no better free supplement than my YouTube channel. Oh, what's that? There we go. Let's get rid of that. I've organized the YouTube channel based on your series exam. So if you're taking the SIE, for example, there are 4 playlists. The playlists are in suggested watch order. The videos are in suggested watch order. Usually it starts with a podcast. For example, you're taking the 65. Brian and I did a podcast where we go over that terrain, all that content, give you kind of a high altitude shot of what you're getting involved in. That's playlist 1. I suggest that just to get an overview of your exam. Then it's usually lectures. There's usually a playlist with practice, test, and questions. You get the idea. Now, if you're looking for a particular topic, please, please, please. We're coming up on 2,000 videos. And you don't want to be looking for a needle in a haystack. So if you're looking for a particular content like accrued interest or parity in convertibles or margin, just put that in the channel search bar and all that content will magically appear. So if you want to binge, use the playlists. If you want to, find a particular topic, use the channel search bar. It's okay. Brian and I know that we're going to answer questions that we have been asked and answered many, many times that exist in video format forever. We will answer them, but, you could also put that in the channel search bar and you might find Brian and I talking about that same question and answer. If you're looking for a paid supplement, nothing better than the Kaplan QBank as a paid supplement. The 15% discount code at checkout is Guru15. That gets you the 7 QBank for as little as $55.80, 3,600 questions, performance tracker. I think the Series 63 is like $20 or some crazy thing. If you're looking for a great distillation of what's testable from your paid study materials to the actual exam, I highly recommend Brian's Test Geek program. That's about $100. He's been kind enough to give our viewers a 20% discount. That's Guru20. You get the videos, the class notes, and I think one of the best practice tests out there. All in, I think it's just a little over $100. So those two together, I think you're in pretty good shape. Not a time to be frugal. Now, everything on my YouTube channel is free. I do not sell channel memberships or coffee mugs or t-shirts, none of that stuff. Everything on my booking page is not free with some exceptions. If you go to deantenneytutoring.setmore.com, one thing we have free, there's a weekly Q&A jam session. You go to class tab, you'd find it there. Another thing we have free is if you win the drawing, I don't know, Yasha, if you're here, I just sent you the link. You do not win a tutoring session at a date and time of your choice. What you win is a coaching call. Same thing. You go if you win tonight. deantenneytutoring.setmore.com. You hit the class tab. You'll see coaching call for weekly winners. You are not alone. You are not alone. We have various communities. Find our tribe, one of our tribes that suits you, and join our test-taking tribe. We have a test-taking tribe at Facebook called Baby Brokers Doing Hat Tricks. Crazy, Brian. The chats are lighting up. We had like 20 people in the chat the other day for 66. We have separate chats for each of those. We're coming up on 2,000 members of that community. So you can either do it in the general, I don't know what you call that, the thread, or you can go to a separate chat and find somebody there for a study group or whatever it is you're looking for. We also have subreddits. We have a subreddit community for 6. We have a subreddit for the SIE in Series 7, R Series 7. We have a subreddit for NASA exams, 63, 65, 66, R Series 66. And we have a subreddit community for 9, 10s, and 24s, R Series 24. I do teach classes. Kaplan hires Guru Exam Prep to collaborate and do classes. I'm doing a Guru Exam Prep Kaplan collab class for 66, December 22nd through 24th. I'm doing another one November 17th through 19th. Again, the 15% discount code works for those products as well. And I'm teaching a Kaplan Series 7, October 20 through 22nd. Okay, so I think that's all the housekeeping. Let's see what we got going on in chat. Oh, my. Oh, my. I took the 66 yesterday. I got a 45 on 55 on sections 1 through 3.
Incredible.
22 on 45. Now, how many times, Brian, do we see that? That the section.
Not often, actually. I'll be very honest. I do
the
not.
Investments the other way, right? I know it was week, and what should you do? Okay, well, I have a video that I will link to Oz called "You Failed. Is it over?" Spoiler alert: the answer is no. I have 5 recommendations about how to respond to that misfortune. The first thing, I'll give you the first here, and then I'll let you watch the video for the other 5, is while the hurt is fresh, while that fresh is hurt, I want you to go get the NASA test specifications for the 66. I want you to do an intellectual inventory or debrief with yourself. I want you to go through each of those line items in that test specification document and put plus, 0, or minus. Plus means you think you intellectually owned it. It wasn't an issue. 0 means you're at par. We don't even want to be at par, but par. You don't think it was a big deal, but you could be better. Counterintuitively, we're looking for minuses. The things you're below par, that we can plug those gaps and bring everything above par. Now, I would warn you, you want to bring it all above par, because how many times, Brian, has somebody targeted just the areas they were weak on that particular draw, right, and then the other things kind of fall down a little bit and they get a completely different draw, and then they're at risk. So
that is absolutely right, Dean. But this, I have to say, this is pretty unique. I don't see 90% on the first 3 sections and less than 50% on section 4. This to me is extremely unique.
Oh, there you go.
There's several things that we can do to ramp that up very quickly. One, as you know, definitions and registration of persons. If you can't get those IAs and IARs straight, there's 10 questions for you. And another big part, and I think is kind of a gimme part of it, is the ethics. Kaplan's textbook has one of the best sections on the NASA's statement of policy of ethical behavior for IAs and IARs, which has definitely got to be a 10 to 12 question section in that section 4. Those are the 2 things I'd first look at.
Yeah, and Haas, don't forget, Brian was kind enough to teach a class for us called Definitions of Persons. It's contributed to a lot of testing victories. You can put it in the channel bar, search bar. I'll link it to in the video description. Check that out. I think it's a nice overview. Now, Brian also has, and somebody just brought this up again today, how many people, the original is always the best, but Brian has a cheat sheet, he calls it, which kind of has a nice, I call it kind of a flow chart of where these casted characters belong, right? Where the definition comes in. And people got hung up on, I was just doing a tutoring session and I had to tell them that's a bad miss. And it's pretty common that people are answering. I said, well, if they'd asked you about an investment advisory firm, that would have been correct, but they didn't. This was a question about a broker dealer. So you got to be real clear about what person you're being asked about. So Haas, I hope that will help you as you try and find those points. Yeah, it's disappointing for sure, but don't let it define you. There's all kinds of very successful people in our business who are not very good test takers. So it's just a barrier to entry into the securities industry, right? And then I had a guy who worked for me, literally, he failed 5 times. People invest with you because they like you and they trust you. And he used to go out and say, hey, Brian, if anybody knows this stuff, it's me. I had to take that damn test 5 times. So I'm not suggesting you do that. Passing the first time is a better way to go. Thank you for the stream. Got hired at Fidelity. Great firm. You can build your whole career there. Stargate got moved back. Okay. I'm now looking at 3.5 months of time. The firm pays. Okay. All looks good. Let's see what the next part is. I passed the SIE. I have an idea to study in the meantime. My question for you is, should I study for the 63, 7, or 65? I was thinking 65 because I want to do client roles and want a challenge. I don't know. Let's see what Brian thinks. I think 3.5 months is on the edge of too long, but I still think the 7 is the way to go. And you don't want a Fidelity at 65. You want a 66. And so I don't think Fidelity is going to want you with the 65. They're probably going to make you take a 66. 63, 65 is the equivalent of a 66. None of those NASA exams require sponsorship. So I don't know if you want to share this with Fidelity. I don't know how much control they have over you in this time. But at 3.5, Brian, what do you think about him taking the 66 non-sponsored, so that when he gets to there 2 months out, maybe he starts for the 7, and then he can take it right out of the gate? What's your thoughts?
You already know the answer to this. You and I are both the same about this.
Yeah.
We prefer the 7 before any of these.
Yeah, do it. And there's a reason they have a 66, and it was to take the place of the 63, 65. So, Brian, there are people who I think just want to be different, and they're telling people, oh, you should take the 65 instead of the 66 and 63 because it's easier. And I go, I don't know why you'd want to take 2 tests and many more questions when FINRA created the 66, so you don't have to do that. That was the whole point of the 66.
Now, the problem here with Grant, perhaps, I don't know for sure, if he's not hired yet.
Yeah.
And he's not sponsored for the 7.
That was my point about doing that 66 on sponsor.
That's right.
The 66 grant doesn't work without a 7. 65 works. You can work at a fee-based investment advisor with a 65.
Right.
Oh man, damn, double damn. I was coming with good news, but I missed the mark on the 65. 2 questions. We're talking about how this happens sometimes with people who miss twice because of the draw being different. We don't know how much time you invested in thinking it was the same draw and you had to pull up the same area and then get a different draw. Haas, my advice was and still is to everybody, you got to overlearn, particularly those who are taking it again, everything, because you can't have too much of a margin of safety. You got to be able to take down any draw, particularly if it's your second time, but done even more importantly if it's your third time, because we know that 180-day wait period is sitting there, staring at you. So make sure you get yourself plenty of margin of safety this time. Well, I don't know about that. Legends on our own minds.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
66 in Ohio, Buckeye State. Can you go over how notice filing differs from registration? We go over this all the time. Notice filing.
I was just talking about it today.
Yeah, there we go, Brian. I'll give you your board.
Yeah. Now, here's the first thing you have to learn, and the textbooks really don't make this too clear. That notice filing is not a method of registration. It's only for exempt securities, and that's a whole different story. So for securities, right, you know that every security has to be registered with the SEC. So look at that word. It coordinates both the federal and the state registration. So if it has to be SEC registered, which most of them do, then that's coordination. It's by far the most common for every garden variety IPO. It's going to be coordination. Qualification is merely when there is no SEC registration, right? And that's generally because it's only being issued in one state, right? In a state. So this is by far 98% of them is under the coordination method. These are far, far more rare when there is no SEC registration. Again, the notice filing are for federally covered securities, if it's already exchange listed, NASDAQ, and for test purposes, all mutual funds use notice filing. It's basically, right? Federally covered advisors, federally covered securities. They don't have to register with the states, but they still have to pay filing fees. So I just tell people, just for the ease of memory, this is how they pay their filing fees. It's called notice filing.
Yeah, I think of it as a courtesy, and it's usually mutual funds, right on. So
that's it. Yeah. Most commonly, yeah.
There you go.
How's that in 37 seconds?
That's not bad. Not bad. I got to tell you, we might be able to splice that into a short. I might be a little.
There you go.
Taking Series 7 Thursday. What should I focus on doing tomorrow? Well, your study plan, John, is over. You don't want to be trying to learn new things. You want to be just getting a good night's rest tonight and tomorrow. Sometimes people can't go to good night's rest the night before, which they should because they're too stressed. So maybe get the rest the night before so that you have plenty of power. You want to make sure your reading skills are in top form. And I know when I'm tired, my reading skills are diminished. So I don't think you should focus on anything tomorrow except keeping your rhythm, try and be well rested, avoid any energy vampires you can, and go stick the landing on Thursday. Your thoughts, Brian?
Yeah, we don't have any practice final scores. We don't have any week.
Yeah, well, he should. Yeah, if he doesn't have that, should he do one tomorrow? I don't think so.
No, not to no. A practice final the day before.
I'm with Brian, John. What we're struggling with is we would like more data. Yeah. You didn't ask us for data. I understand that you asked what should you do tomorrow, but it depends too, right? Have you earned the right to take tomorrow off? And perhaps, if you got 85, 90s, or if you're going to continue to find some points tomorrow. But for all intents and purposes, you got to go with what you got as of now, right? So, Series 7, all right. Trissy, I like that. I hope I pronounced that right. 66, currently on Chapter 9, regulation. I wish we called that registration. It's not really regulation, even though that's what they call it. It's registration. Including, there you go, state registrative cover. What videos can help with this? I've got a great one. Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy is all about whether you're going to register with the SEC or state. So that video will help. Brian, definition of persons, is that where you're going again? Or
yeah, that same video that you and I did on the definition of registrations.
Yeah. So those are two good ones. What are the guidelines on, give me an example, one of the questions for you guys to break down and help with answering for client recommendations? Well, Don, we like specific questions. We don't like vague questions. I call them ghost questions, where you say somewhere in the Kaplan manual, there's a question that goes something like, that's a ghost question. We can't, take that. I like it if you say on page 35, top paragraph, or a QID number, whatever. We like specific. If you ask us like, how does the universe work? That's maybe next week's live stream, right? So for client recommendations, so find a question that you'd like to bring to us. You can email requests on questions at explicationrequest@guruexamprep.com. But the guidelines is, I guess the other thing I'd say, Don, is we're helping a live stream for content. We're not here to tutor. And, it happens very rarely, but we'll have somebody will load the chat with like 20 questions. And that's a tutoring session. That's a video. That's not a live stream. So, but if you're going to err on asking, and then we can certainly tell you whether this is the right form for that or not. And we're always a challenge as well. Like Brian, I thought he did a great job in the time allocated in the live stream, right? I'm sure if this was our tutoring session, he could have filled the hour with that discussion.
Dawn, just like Dean said previously, get the content outline for Section 3, the client recommendations.
Right, yeah. That
should be the first place you start.
Absolutely. Taking the 65 on Friday, scoring 88. Woo! Yes, that's plenty. God, we wish everybody was in that area. That's fantastic. Fantastic. Taking the 66 next week, 2-2. How do you suggest tackling the non-law and registration? Well, non-law means registration. The only thing that's not going to be law, it's called laws and registrations. I've talked with coworkers who had mini ERISA on the mini balance sheet. How to focus? Well, balance sheets are definitely on the 66.
Absolutely.
And, that's sources of business information. It can bleed into analytical information. Most of the time it's description, but you should be prepared to know working capital, current ratio, acid test, debt to total cap. That's there. I don't have any shortcuts for that. How many ERISA? I think maybe 2. That's the Employee Retirement Income Security Act. I joke it's called every ridiculous idea since Adam. It's about fiduciaries under ERISA 1974. And so I don't think that's a problem. I think it's contagious, though, Michael. I had an insurance company with thousands of agents I was helping to get through their 66s, and they were freaked out about ERISA. I go, I don't know who's freaking people out. It's not a big deal. You just be on every ERISA question. It's 2-3 questions, right? So Brian, your thoughts on that? You have any tricks?
I like this question, actually, because I see a lot of people who kind of fall down a little bit on the first two sections, the business information, the balance sheets, analytics on investments, and then the investment vehicles. Believe it or not, for people who just passed the 7, those are those first like 5 or 6 chapters, and everybody goes, oh, I already know all this. But then somebody comes back to me after they fail it and say, I got confused on all the different life insurance and the futures and the floors. So again, get the content outline, Series 65, Series 66, and even 63. Get the content outline. It's the first place you start.
Test specifications, indeed. Registration, state registration. I think we just talked about that.
Yeah.
Hey, Dean was in the stream a few weeks ago prepping for, all right, woo! We do 2 things. For people who we ring the bell. For whom the bell tolls, it tolls for thee. And we pour a victory toast. The victory toasting beverage tonight is a mezcal. I've been kind of on a mezcal kick, Brian. And I kind of like it. It's got a little more roughness to it as compared to a tequila. And sometimes we call these live streams. That's what I do. I drink and I know things. Was in the stream a few weeks ago. Got the 66 coming up next week. Watched all the explication videos, but did not see one for laws. Luke, if it's not there, that means it's because I have a formal lecture on it. So if you are looking for the missing piece of the explication, it's usually because I have a video and I go, watch the videos. But send me an email, Series 7 Guru at guruexamprep.com, Luke, as a nudge, and I'll see if I can find the accompanying video. And if not, if I need to finish it up, I'll finish it up. Well, Marcel, I wasn't expecting you to send it to me. I was expecting you to tell me what it is. So when you said send you an email, I thought you were going to send me a picture of something to put on the wall. Oh, well, I know you have fine taste. You will be in our thoughts tomorrow because Brian and I are going to William B's. William B, is it called, Brian?
William B's.
William B's for a nice steak dinner. Good news, we're not vegans. And Marcel, you took me there with Mom, but they've now rebranded it as that. And so we'll see. I'll give you the update if it's a huge improvement, as Brian claims. Brian has fine taste, so I'm pretty sure if he claims it's better, I believe it. So you'll be with us in spirits. Well, you don't know what we'll do, Marcel? Tell me, send me an email or put in the chat, what beverage would you like us to set aside on the table to represent your presence, Marcel?
There you go.
So we'll pour you a shot or whatever you like. I don't know. Should we, it's not like Marcel has passed on and we're going to leave it there. I think we should drink it when we're done. Yeah. Just dropping by to say, you guys, again, for all the videos, took the SIE first time through. All right. Love it. Completion of the test taking registration hat trick. Jonathan Maynard Keynes. No, this is Jonathan Maynard. I think our famous economist, I think it's with his Maynard is an E, I think. Just past the 7 a few weeks ago. Wow. Boy, I better get busy here. Wow. Ilegal is because it was illegal. And the 2 guys went back to Mexico and turned their dad's garage illegal distillation setup into a real mezcal. Hence the term. But I joined Brian a cigar lounge, I think I was telling you about. And I have a locker. And it's a weird Arizona zoning thing for a liquor license. It's called BYOB. You're allowed to bring your own booze. And then you're allowed, at a ticketed event, which is kind of a loophole. But anyways, I got to decide what to stock in my little locker. So I'm thinking I already got to find tequila, Johnny Walker Blue. I'm thinking I got to put a mezcal in there. All right. My goodness. Testing victories rolling in. Woo-hoo. Ooh, that's rough. I can't decide if it's rough in a good way or bad. Oh, by the way, Brandon, thank you so much for joining us from LinkedIn. We broadcast to YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. our primary platform is YouTube. So it always warms my heart when I see somebody joining us from LinkedIn and Facebook. Schedule 7 for October 7. I love it. 7-7. You know what? I think we should buy like a ticket tomorrow. Can you pick your own numbers, Brian, in Nevada on the lotto or anything?
There is no lotto in Nevada.
Oh, because of the casinos. What can make a bet by picking numbers, or is that not? Tell you what I'm going to do, Gabriel. I'm going to put on the roulette table tomorrow.
There you go.
I'll put a bet on 7-7 for you. Past the 9. My goodness. Sales supervisor in the house. I hope you're going to tell me that you got the 10 done already. Because if not, you got a slog ahead of you. Got a client mid-60s with low risk tolerance. Okay. Has $30,000 to invest. Ooh, Don. When I see mid-60s, low risk tolerance, 30, I'm going to send them to my banker friend or my insurance agent. I'm joking. Oh, now he's investing for a grandson. Okay, well, now it's changed a little bit, right? Because the time horizon is not the client in the mid-60s. The time horizon, tuition in a year. Oh, my goodness, that time horizon is way short.
Then that should be.
I would 5 year. Well, I don't know the difference between an intermediate CD and a 5-year intermediate CD. I would be looking for the shortest term investment offered to me. Yeah. So whether that's the CD or money market fund or something like that. Right. So your thoughts on that one, Brian?
Absolutely. I'm looking for the fourth answer. I only see kind of 3 answers there. I would say money market, but I don't like CDs as an investment vehicle.
I'm with you. But that's just a savings account. I don't like asset allocation and B. That's just silly. We're not going to do an asset allocation model for somebody.
Not for 1 year.
Ignore the above. Sorry. Well, geez, Don, I wish you would have told us that before. Hello. Oh, hey, Jacob. Thank you so much. I was just talking about people on Facebook. We always love it when they join us. Been chipping away. You appreciate the live videos. Love to have you. Looks like a happy couple there. I like it. Standing in front of their chariot. I'm not sure what kind of chariot it is. It looks like a beautiful white chariot. You know, your bride, beautiful bride, looks like she blends in there with that white. Michelob Ultra. Well, Marcel, you're such a classy guy. Done. Yeah,
step it up.
Marcel, if you don't step up, then we're not going to drink a Michelob Ultra. I don't want to sound like a snob. What I say the other day, I'm not very self-aware. Well, I am very self-aware, probably too self-aware. And I don't think about how other people might interpret what I'm saying. Right. So I was talking to a guy and he was offering me this T-shirt. I said, I like the insignia, but I'm too classy to wear T-shirts. It was a joke. Right. It's really, I don't wear T-shirts because I'm a big boy and I like nice shirts that hang properly. And there was a guy I wear T-shirts and he was wearing a T-shirt. I felt like saying, it wasn't about you. It was about me. And enjoy the steak. There you go. 7 on Thursday, nervous. Well, there's a certain amount of nervousness and anxiety that is performance enhancing. And then there's that line where it's debilitating. And so you don't quite feel prepared. I think that's my biggest answer, Elizabeth, is we would like others. Your timeline is collapsing, which is typical of a study plan. I joke, Brian, options are wasting asset, time, value, roads. So are study plans. Study plans are wasting asset, time, value, roads. So you don't have much time left. So I have to go to my Elizabeth, the one thing I know that works 100% of the time. And so we're going to have to reach into our bag of tricks. And Elizabeth, what I want you to do tonight and tomorrow morning and tomorrow night and Thursday morning and Thursday at break, take a break when you're working your way through your 7, matriculating your way through it. I want you to go to the mirror tonight and I want you to say, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the greatest Series 7 test taker of them all? Elizabeth. Hurrah! That has 100% pass rate. So, and then if you can find a few points between now and then, anyway, you can feel better prepared and be confident. It's worth some points. I would want all of you to overlearn because confidence is points. And so as her timeline is collapsing, let that be a warning for the rest of you to try and be confident. Get confident by doing your practice questions. We don't, Elizabeth, here's another one, Brian, where we don't know her test point scores.
Yeah.
So if you can put that, Elizabeth, in the chat. Now, remember, you participate in chat, your business isn't private. Everybody can see it. But I would be interested in your practice test scores, because then we can tell you whether you're at risk or not. And maybe we say, hey, this is just your own brain. You're using your own brain against yourself, right? Don't do that. The test is hard enough without you trying to make it more difficult. So tell us a test score, if you would, please, if you're up to it. Failed the 66 twice. Now I'm mad studying. I like it. Boy, Eric, I've seen people, Brian, who have done 180s because they just get so fed up. And then you wouldn't believe it's the same person. We have a guy, Eric, his name is Nico, and he gave me permission to put up a practice test that we did together. And that was after he failed twice. My God, you would never believe this guy failed twice. He got it down. So I like mad studying. I like it. I got Brian's 66 videos. I love it. It's helping a bunch. Ooh, how to calm test jitters. Let it come to you. So the opposite, right? Instead of mirror, mirror on the wall, be the test. Let the test come to you. Don't be too on top of it, right? Test jitters, again, confidence. Brian, your thoughts on that one?
I have lots of thoughts on it.
Well,
we all have some degree of test anxiety. Dean and I get this statement a lot. We don't have a magic pill for it, okay? Mm-hmm. However, right, we have lots of ways in which you want to study. Be confident in your study plan. That's what takes away the jitters the most, right? We're going to have test anxiety. We always have. You've had test anxiety all your life. We're not going to change it tomorrow. Just make sure that the anxiety isn't answering the questions. Stay within yourself. You know it's there. Just don't listen to it. Stay with what you know. You answer the question based on your knowledge. Okay?
Yeah, love it.
The anxiety's there. It always will be. It's not going to go away. Just don't let it take the test for you. You take it.
I love it. In fact, here it comes across the ticker. With Brian's permission, it's coming across the ticker. It is. There's mine, inch by inch.
Yeah.
Your exam is a cinch. And here comes Brian. With his permission, he let me put this up on our ticker. And here comes Brian's famous. Oh, there. Come on, Dean.
Yeah,
I just speed up my ticker. I think I can speed it up.
Speed that thing up.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I can do that. Come on.
Yeah. Well,
here it comes.
We'll repeat all of this at the end of the session.
Here it goes. Okay, here it comes. Here it comes. Uh-oh, where'd it go? Where'd it go?
We'll repeat it at the end, Dean.
No, I'm in it now.
There
we go.
There it is.
Right, there's Brian's. He'll end it today too.
Yeah.
Boom. You take the test. Don't let the test take you. All right. Woohoo. All right. Back to work we go. I'm doing all the steps. Yeah, I do. We could make it a drinking game, Marcel. Everybody is welcome to toast our victorious test takers.
I'm ready, Marcel, if it needs to be.
I'm back. You guys recommended studying for the 7 before the 66. We did. We always do. I can study for the 7 and be prepared and then just be ahead. I like that. What courses are good? I think Kaplan's the best. Kaplan, you have a 15% discount code at checkout, Guru 15. I think all the ones are reputable. I think what Kaplan tips it for me is the QBank. The QBank at Kaplan is the best in terms of being able to customize it, do the performance tracker. So that's, I think, the tipping factor and why I think Kaplan is better than the other vendors. What price level? Well, I just told you get a 15% discount. Knopman and Marks I like, but they're very expensive. It's added value, though. I mean, they are entitled to a higher price on their content. I think Past Perfect is too obtuse in my estimation. I think Trading Consultants is a little too skinny. I think STC's QBank is such that you can memorize it. Not saying everybody does, but you could, and then that could be fatal to you. So that's my thoughts. Brian, your thoughts on yeah, I think we're in the same agreement. Yeah. Mid-50s. So Elizabeth, you're at risk in mid-50s.
Yeah.
So you are at risk, and you just got to go in there, get the best look of the dragon you can. Maybe the stars line up. I've had people in the mid-50s who pass, but we would ideally have liked you to have a study plan. This is for future test takers who are listening. We would like you to execute a study plan that has you in the mid-70s by that 2-3 days out from the test, because mid-50s means there's some knowledge deficit problems still. So, but we'll be with you in spirit. We'll be with you in spirit. And it's been done. I don't want you to get down on yourself. It's been done. 68 on the 65 at the end of August. Planning to retake in October. Love it. Using Kaplan. Really appreciate all the content. And Brian to help the bridge. I think that's the best way to think of Test Geek as a bridge. Exactly. Love it. Pass the SIE.
Yay.
In the low 50s. There you go, Tara. That was good for Elizabeth to hear. I told you it's been
done.
Thank
you, Tara, for saying
It's been done. It's been done. So thank you so much. A toast in your honor. Tara, thank you so much, too. We love when victorious test takers come back and share their testing victories, because it really does help buck up other people. It's good for morale. So victorious test takers are always welcome on any Tuesday to join us. There you go. That's right. Yard by yard, the exam is hard. Right on. That's exactly. New motto for sure. There you go. Brian's coined a new one. Don't let the anxiety answer the question. Love it. Can I add that to the ticker too?
Absolutely. Hey, man, whatever gets people through this thing.
There you go. Jeff, hello. I'm planning to take my 65 early December. Wow. Is that enough time? I think it's almost too much time.
That's too much time.
Yeah, I think I moved that up,
That's
Jeff.
too much time.
It's hard to keep this all in your brain housing group that amount of time.
That's right.
You know, I always use the analogy, right? You're trying to stick the landing, and I'm afraid if we're using the analogy of the plane, you're going to run out of fuel before you get to the airport, right? So you might burn yourself out. So I would like that October, November. Let's at least consider moving that up to the end of November, perhaps.
Right.
Low 80s. That's great. How's it looking? Looks really great. I think we'd be surprised if you didn't make your mark tomorrow.
Go get them.
24, 16th. All right. 24. General Securities Principal in the house. Love it. Love it, Sonny. Using past perfect. I like past perfect. I get better to have too much than not enough. Thank you so much for joining us from LinkedIn. So we had a little bit of everybody tonight. Some LinkedIn, some Facebook, some YouTube. YouTube is our primary source. Date is October 20th. I love it. Any best advice for going about this process for the 7? You're going to help me pass this SIE. Well, if you have a testing victory, I would suggest rinse and repeat. But we have all kinds of stuff to help you. Put study plan into the channel search bar, and you can watch Brian and I answer this question in depth on many a Tuesday. So check that out. See if you can add it to your successful first study plan. And so the process, October 20th, I would say both of us, Brian thinks 7-10 days out, you should have your base laid, and you should be doing a practice test to kind of get a mark and see where you're at. And we would like you in the mid-70s, no more than one a day. You should spend as much time on remediation as you did doing the exam. Absolutely. And we're looking to push those scores up. I think, Eric, I have my thoughts on it. I'll pass it to Brian. I think there were too many people who would get like a 90 and they come back and put it in other people's faces. I think it's a little bit of the woke thing. Like, we're not going to give people their scores. I don't like it, Eric, because I think people who work hard deserve to get their score, particularly those who work hard and, would get in the old days an 80 plus score, which is a great score. So I think it was partly this cohort, not having the cohort where people are comparing scores and thinking they're somehow smarter than somebody else or putting it out there. So you only get a score. It's very bad to get a score because that means you didn't make your mark. Brian, your thoughts on why they did that?
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And for us, for you and me specifically, and for everybody else, it's nice to have those passing scores to see where those practice final exams actually did correlate,
right,
and where they didn't correlate, so that we can help people even more in the future. For us,
people got 90s, and we know they know what they saw.
That's right.
Now, Brian, I may have told you this before, but when I've been in and out of the securities industry over the last 3 or 4 decades, and when you're gone more than 2 years, you have to retest. Now, obviously, in my situation, that shouldn't be a problem. But I took the 7 and I got like a 96 and I did it in like an hour and a half and they were freaked out. And I said, I think they looked at me like I was cheating. I said, listen, I teach this stuff. If I was struggling, it would be really bad.
My compliance department was concerned that I was going to score 100% and that we'd have to go to FINRA and explain. I got a 94 or something.
Yeah. You know, if you're in Brian, this is where you would hope to be in your study plan, right? But right. I don't know about Brian, but I get lazy sometimes. I go, I'm just going to guess B, assign that to Universal. I'll make it up somewhere else. Oh, here's an easy one. No, so I'm going to cherry pick. I'm going to pick the cherries and I'm going to spit out the pits. I go, oh, that's a pit. I'm spitting that out. Question: what is the most common ways the exam tests variable annuities? Well, they test it the same way on every exam. A variable annuity is a non-qualified retirement plan being funded after tax. The money is going into a separate account. I think of a variable annuity as a mutual fund with an insurance wrapper. Because of that insurance wrapper, you don't get constructive receipt, and that's why that money is growing tax deferred. Now, we said it's a non-qualified retirement plan. What that also means is everything coming out that hasn't had taxes paid is taxed at ordinary income. So if you give me, $100,000 and now there's $1 million, there's 900,000 in there you haven't paid taxes on. Last money's in or first money's out. So you do a random distribution, you're going to owe tax. You say, Dean, send me the 100 or the 10 I originally put in. I go, no, it's 10 of the 90. That's called LIFO. And then remember, you can annuitize. You can turn it into an income stream you can't outlive. And that test question will be life only generates the biggest monthly check. So it's the same thing. I have a variable annuity lecture that goes over all of this at length, and there are test questions about it. Other thing I would add, and I'll turn over to Brian, you have to be duly registered. You have to be registered to sell life insurance because of the insurance wrapper and securities. Remember, you can't give concessions, discounts, allowances to non-members. So let's say that I have a 6, but I don't have a life insurance, or vice versa. Let's say vice versa. I have the life insurance. I say, Tara, I don't want to take that damn 6. So I'm just going to do this, put it on your rep number, and I'll give you $1,000 for using your rep number. Absolutely not. Brian, anything you want to add to that?
No, that's pretty much it. There's several ways in which you can actually invest into the separate account, and there's several ways in which you can take monies out. So you might want to pay attention to those. On Series 6 predominantly,
right?
The different methods in and the different methods out, and the AIR.
The assumed interest rate is what causes the check to go up or down.
Can get a little confusing for some people.
There you go. Next Tuesday, accretion and amortization. Well, there's no distinction on that. They're the same things. So straight line amortization upward is called accretion. So you're going to get asked about it. It's mainly recognition on an OID, an original issue discount bond, or a zero coupon bond. And you might get asked on a muni bond purchased at a premium. But it shouldn't be make or break for you. Let me give you to Brian. There you go, Brian.
Yeah, I love visualizations. I'm very visual. That's the visualization of amortization, where you're adjusting for tax purposes, adjusting your original cost basis over the life of the bond. That's amortization. Amortize, like mortuary, means dead or dying. You're killing off the original cost basis. Accretion is the exact same thing, just in the opposite direction. Accrete means to add to. That's the process for accretion and amortization. It applies primarily to capital gains on municipal bonds. Primarily. There's some other uses for it, like the zero coupon bond.
Yeah, the zero coupon bond, remember that amortization upward is taxable. That kind of sucks because you're paying taxes on income you're not receiving, and that's called phantom income. Yeah. So I would have a general understanding of that. Can we purchase the QBank? Yes, you can. It's $55.80 for the Series 7. So you just go into the Kaplan website, you look for study tools, you look for QBank, you hit the buy, you put in the Guru 15 discount code when you check out, and you can get the QBank for all the various exams separately as a paid supplement. The highest, I think, is $50. The lowest is like 25, depending on your exam, like 63. Yeah, I think it's a great supplement to your STC, because we said the STC QBank, it doesn't have much depth to it. It's not as easy to customize. So I always think if you don't have a Kaplan QBank already, I think it's the best paid supplement for you. And it's different than Brian's because Brian isn't a QBank. I've been trying to get him to write a QBank. He says he's never going to do it. So until he does, that's the best solution. You are welcome. You are welcome. I'm having trouble with formulas in math. Well, I'd like to know what exam you're talking about. Are some formulas more testable than others? The answer is yes. I have a video that you can watch called All the Math Necessary to Pass Your Series 7. I literally go through every math practical application you may encounter on the Series 7. So put math in the channel search bar. There'll be two versions of it. One version where you can watch me do it. Another version where I and a test taker do it together. And she's given me permission to put that on there. You should definitely be able to do current yield. You should definitely be able to do tax-free and tax equivalent yields. So there are some that are more testable than others. Your thoughts on that, Brian?
Yeah, you and I, as you know, get this question all the time for all the different exams. FINRA and NASAA are not testing your math skills. They're testing your basic knowledge on investment concepts. No matter what exam it is, these are not math-centric exams. Series 7 probably has the most of them all. Series 66 has the least, right? Mm-hmm. But it's not so much about math. The test or textbook publishers love to just throw all sorts of math in there. Yes, there's some, but there's not a lot. And neither Dean or I believe you're going to pass or fail because of math. That's right. You're not testing your math skills.
I would also tell you, though, of the three styles of questions you get recognition, practical application, and judgment. And you do not want to give up practical application math because there's no interpretation of the answer. You simply get it right or wrong. So that's the good news about math. I'm not a math person. The second thing I would tell you is that I'm not being facetious. I'm mathematically challenged. So if somebody offers me a calculator, I say, thank you very much. So, I wouldn't be trying to do things in your head. If they give you a calculator, take advantage of that. Take my test on Saturday, low 60s. Well, we'd like you to be in the mid 70s. We would let Lynette want you to push that. You have a few days. We'd like you to push that into the mid 70s. If you are continually getting 60s, you need to stop, take a strategic pause, and then say, okay, let me lay some more base. Don't just keep doing them. If you're getting a 60, come up with a plan to remediate to get that score up. You don't want to mindlessly keep doing them and just getting 60. So make sure you remediate that 60 and then say, okay, let me go do remediations, ones I missed. Let me go back and do some more reading, watch a more video, do a couple more practice questions before you do the next one. No more than one a day.
That's why Dean and I love the Kaplan QBank so much, because it has that performance tracker that identifies where your weakest areas are so that you can remediate. Dean said this earlier. You got to spend as much time remediating as you do in taking practice finals. Use that performance tracker, find those weak areas, get in there, get your hands.
There's a lot of OGs out there, as we know, Brian, that tell people the way to pass is do practice tests over and over and over again. No, you're not a mouse to get some cheese if you get through the maze. We're doing the practice test to get a mark of where we're at and whether we have a margin of safety or not. The more margin of safety we have, the better. So we say mid 70s, but the higher, the better. Somebody told us they had an 88 and an 80. Woo! That's a margin of safety, meaning any draw they should be able to take down. So when you are having those consistent 60s, the reason there's people who pass in the 50s and 60s, but you don't have much margin of safety. You got to have a dream draw, a good day. The stars got to line up, and that's not where we want to be. So I had 6 people who got a 60 just on the test. 20 of them, Brian, in the class, the cohort. And I told the corporate trainer, 12 of them got over 70. I think they're going to pass Monday. This is a class where you go Monday through Thursday. They take a practice test Friday. They test Monday. I said, so that leaves 8. Of the 6 of the 8, they got between 60 and 70. And we're going to lose, I think, 3 of them. And she goes, well, who are they? We'll save them. I go, it's statistics. I don't know who they are. It's just 3 of the 6 I think we're going to lose. It's not necessary. If they didn't panic, if they continue to work and finish strong, they would all pass. And good news, they all did. They didn't go wobbly over the weekend. They just kept working, kept up anxiety to a minimum level, as Brian was talking about earlier, and they all passed. So that leaves 2 people. The other 2 people of the 20-person cohort got below 60. And I said, this is going to be very difficult for them because they have a knowledge-based deficit. and they don't know what they're being asked. They don't know what questions are being offered to, the answers are being offered to them. And, they got to lay some more base, and it's just hard to do all that and go Monday. Now, I thought they did a valiant effort. They came up just a little short, retested and got it. But I had somebody the other day, and I was kind of bringing this up to him. I said, listen, we got a paragraph here. Before we even read this question, RTF for Q, read the full question, let's just read these answers. And I said, let's practice this kind of thing. I've read the answers. We haven't read the question. And here's an answer I don't think is right. And here's an answer I think is right. So now let's read the question. Knowing that there's a couple of answers we like, maybe that'll help us inform the reading. I said, one more thing. Let's read that last sentence first. Let's just see where it ends up when we read this paragraph. And ended up not being as intimidating as it first looked. First time you see that paragraph, you go, oh my God, guess B, sign of the universe. The Kaplan explanation of NPV and present values confuses me. Is one for the stock and the other for debt securities. Now, a net present value is for any investment that pays you an income stream. Present value. What is the present value of a future dollar amount or the present value of future payments? Right? So the classic version of this, I'll give it to you. I say, Brian's a math geek. I'm not. So he's a test geek, math geek. I say, hey, Brian, I'm thinking about buying this 10-year, 7% bond. So, Brian, I'm going to get $70 in annual interest. I'm getting 2 payments of $35 every 6 months. Brian, I may be mathematically challenged, but I do know that $35 6 months from today is worth more than $35 10 years from today. So before I buy the bond, I'd like you to tell me, as a valuation technique, what is the present value of the bond? And he says, well, Dean, the present value of the $1,000 that you're getting 10 years from today and the present value of the 20 payments of $35, that present value is $900. So that's present value. Now, I use that, Eric, to decide whether I want to buy the bond. So Brian tells me present value is 900. I say, hey, Brian, I can get it for 880. He said, woo, that has positive net present value. I'm buying for 880 a present value of 900. That's net present value of a positive $20. In that case, that is an undervalued bond, and I might want to consider purchasing. If the market is efficient, I say, damn, Brian, the market's efficient, man. You told me the present value is 900, and that's the market price. There's zero net present value. He says, Dean, what'd you find out? I said, it's priced at 940 and present value is 900. I go, well, I don't want to pay $40 more than I need to for a present value of 900. So it's a valuation technique. I see Brian's got his board out. I'm giving it to you, Brian.
Yeah, and it's exactly what Dean just said. It gets kind of into the weeds a little bit for those of us who are not finance majors. So I try to simplify this enough for people to just get the test question right? I'm not going to be teaching this stuff in college. So, forgive me if it's not exactly the way you learned it in university, right? The present value, as Dean was describing, is just whatever the current market price of the investment is. What it is right this instant. Now, that investment's going to be paying us income over the life of the investment, whether it's a bond, whether it's a stock, it doesn't matter. Either one, right, may pay us income over time. Now, what's going to be the value of that investment and that future income stream 20, 30 years from now? That's our future goal or future value. Now, today, right, the market value of our investment may be $100,000. Our goal, we're hoping it's going to be worth $1 million based on all of this income and a rate of return over the next 30 years. And our goal, we're hoping that it's going to be worth $1 million. The difference between those two figures is what's called net present value. That's really all it is. It's not really too complicated over that. And then we're making some applications to it with discounted cash flow and those sorts of things.
Yeah, Eric, I posted 2 videos recently, so you can just go to the videos on my channel. You'll see one where I did a question based on this situation. And you can also see a couple other examples of practice questions.
Both Series 65 and 66 have a couple of questions.
Yep.
And they're generally definitional. They don't get too far into
Yeah,
the
if you tell us you missed it because of net present value or even present value, I'd be, I'm not so sure. Pass the SIE. Woo! Take my Series 7. Hey, you're taking your Series 7 on my birthday. Nobody is going to fail on September 25th. That's the guru's birthday. I have called FINRA. They said, Dean, what do you want for your birthday? I said, I want everybody testing on Thursday, September 25th to get a pass. Now, John, they told me they're not going to do that, but they said they are going to spot everybody 10 free points. Let's say this is a birthday gift from the Series 7 guru. Now, please, I think it's silly that I have to tell you that's a joke. Like every once in a while, I'll tell a joke and somebody doesn't know it's a joke. I could just see, wow, you're telling you people get free points. You know, read the entire book. I love it. Still some from the gaps. How did you film? Well, once you read the book, then you start matriculating forward through the material. You do your unit 1, you read, you watch the video or do the video to dent the reading, or read and watch the video, consolidate the reading. Then you do practice questions on that unit. Let's say unit 1, you do 25, 30 practice questions. You get a 75 or 70%. You move on to unit 2, rinse and repeat. Unit 2, you do not rinse and repeat. You do a combined quiz of unit 1, unit 2, before you move on to unit 3. You matriculate down the field into scoring position. Now, you have about 8 days, so I'd like to know where you're at in terms of doing your practice quizzes. That's where you should be at this point. Yeah, Brian?
John, to answer your question specifically, it's exactly what Dean and I do. We fill in the gaps for you. Dean's got, 2,000 videos, right? He's got 6 playlists just for the Series 7. Pick and choose if it's amortization and accretion, if it's whatever. I have the same thing. I have video courses where I take all of that textbook material and consolidate it down into what is most likely testable, what's on the test, how it's most tested, and how you should answer it. That's what Dean and I do. So to answer your question, you go to Dean's playlist, you buy my video course, either one, both.
Yeah, the advantage to Brian's, like, so I have, as for example, Series 7 cram course is one of the playlists. It's the equivalent of my 4-day Series 7 class. But, you can get where there's so many choices on the channel that you might get indented and go, oh, man, I can't. It's like going into a bar and there's like 20 beer taps. I love beer, so that would be, to me, exciting. But some people might say, oh, my God, 20 beers, how am I going to make a choice? If that's something you're fearful of, then you should spend the $100, because Brian doesn't talk about anything that isn't on the test. He does it once. He doesn't have 6 videos on it like Dean might. So between the two, I think that's a good kind of mix. Brian does have free content as well on YouTube. Besides his paid videos, he has some free stuff as well. Feel comfortable, love it. I felt comfortable and strong on the SIE. Well, let's hope we can get there, John, on your 7 too. Let's hope. Using Notman QBank, you're good. Yeah, Tarek, Notman Marks is a great firm. Brian Marks is one of my favorite people in the world. As I said, they are a white glove test prep vendor. They charge accordingly, but they have all kinds of assistance available to you besides, what you get here for free. So I'm a big fan of Notman Marks. 7 SIE taking the 63. Woo! All the I'm not sure why you went 7. We've talked about this. I don't know why this is happening, Brian. I'm not sure why you went SIE 765 63 instead of SIE 766. Oh, well. Do I have any videos?
Yes.
Really? That's the question?
We both do. Yes, absolutely.
There's 2,000 videos. So you go to the playlist, the 63 playlist, and all my 63 content is in that playlist. So the answer is yes. We have lots of videos. I just focused on the top. I was lacking, read the paragraph, and my hubby explain it, and watched the night the morning of the exam. I love it. That works. So Notman is great, and then supplement, right? I'm a big believer. I don't believe in monogamy as it applies to vendors and content. Anybody can help you pass. That's what you need to do. So don't be frugal in terms of money or in terms of just, seeing other content. Make sure you don't get too many voices in your head. So many you get confused. But other than that, take Brian, take Dean, go to Notman, whatever you can do. Hey, Ray, come on. You don't have to keep coming back. I love you. But Ray is one of my favorites of all time. He's matriculated through his exams, or as he once would be doing when he played football, he matriculated down the field into scoring position. Of course, Ray played defense, so his job was to keep you from getting into the the end zone, right? I'm ready when you are, Ray. I'll tell you what, I'll send you an email. I'll tell you what we'll do if you're up to it, Ray. I joined a cigar lounge, and maybe we'll do it Zoom, and I'll be in the cigar lounge. I'll get something special out of my locker, and we'll do it there. What do you think? If that speaks to you, let me know. Send me an email. I'll send you an email, and we'll set it up. I'm thinking maybe Friday. Maybe we can do that. Replying last 5-10 minutes. Kaplan just showed PV. I went down the rabbit hole. Where did you get the number? Where'd you get the number? We just made it up to illustrate the concept. I just made it up. Thoughts on chapter 8? I don't know what chapter 8 is. So book says only 2 test questions. Well, there you go. Sometimes it's a joke, but count the pages in chapter 8. Let's say it's 40 pages for 2 questions. My brother, when he came to work for me, Brian, he would literally rip that out of the book. He said, Dean, these 40 pages are 2 questions. I go, yeah. He goes, I'll make it up elsewhere. The book went from like this big to like that big. He said, I'm just going to learn this with 100% accuracy. Brian's paid videos are the best. Highly recommend. Well, I love it. All right, Brian, I think it's that time. It's time for Wheel of Fortune. Now, please do not do anything until I tell you it is the appropriate time to do so, because the Wheel of Fortune will not pick up until I get it set up. So I got to set it up, and I'm going to kill Brian so that I can, not really. I'm just going to kill his video feed so I can see what he's writing. And then I can put that. So Brian, what do you want to be the word today for the drawing?
Equinox.
Oh my God. Don't put it in until I come back up. Am I spelling it correctly, Brian? EQUINOX?
That's it.
All right. So if you would like to participate in the drawing, let me go get the Wheel of Fortune on here. Put Equinox into the your chat. Boom, there we go. Equinox. And remember, if you win, you do not win a tutoring session. You win the coaching call, which can be played at deantenneytutoring.setmore.com. So I say it's 30 minutes, but Yasha, I don't see Yasha tonight. I'll go over. I mean, if you've come to the coaching call with whatever you want to talk about from your exam, and we will talk about it. All right, going once, going twice. All right, there we go. Oh, I saw Marcel go by. He's a big-time winner. Isaac, all right, one of our regulars. All right, Isaac, you know how to claim your winnings, so just put that in there. I thought, no, Isaac, maybe I'm a little, I'm getting older. Maybe that, birthday's next week. Maybe I forgot. I thought you were through your testing journey. If so, you're welcome to give your coaching call to someone else. But if you're still matriculating and you got an exam, I'll see you on the coaching call. We'll help you out on that. All right, everybody. We're here every Tuesday, 5 p.m. Arizona time. Remember, inch by inch, your exam is a cinch. And Brian, you say?
With all those anxiety voices in your head, please remember, keep it simple. Stay with what you know. You take the test. Don't let that test take you.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next Tuesday. Bye-bye.